In this section, we're going to talk about romantic love, first beginning with that initial contact between two potential romantic partners. Just to simplify this, I'm going to refer to this as lust. When two partners first make contact by either sight or hearing a person's voice, any of this could result in feelings of sex drive increase. The increase in sex drive is often a response of a spike in testosterone. Testosterone and estrogen are the two most potent sex hormones in the male and female sexes in mammalian species. Both of these sex hormones are produced by another hormone, DHEA. DHEA is the most abundant hormone in the human body. It is the molecule from which estrogen and testosterone are made, and is also thereby responsible for increasing sex drive, because DHEA, when converted to testosterone, will increase sex drive in both men and women. Testosterone is, in fact, the main sex drive hormone in both men and women. Men with high testosterone generally find women with high estrogen more attractive. There is no correlation, though, between men low in testosterone and women low in estrogen. I like to think of this as the high school football quarterback finding the head cheerleader attractive. We also see in lust, in this first initial contact, a rise in dopamine. Dopamine is a very interesting neurotransmitter. It's involved in a reward system, providing feelings of joy and pleasure only when a certain condition is met. This creates desire. In this case, in the Biology of Love lecture, this feeling of pleasure and joy is only provided to the individual when they see or communicate with a potential romantic partner again, creating desire and even a need to spend more time with or communicate with their romantic partner. One of the things that has confounded scientists, though, is whether or not pheromones are involved in signaling potential partners and attracting mates in humans. Many animals have pheromones. This is seen from insects all the way to complex mammalian populations. But no pheromones have been discovered in humans just yet. There is some indication, however, that pheromones may exist. And some of these come out of some studies that have been done, and I'm going to go over these now. The first one of these is the t-shirt test. With the t-shirt test, what they did is they allowed some individuals that were freshly showered with unscented soap and no deodorant or cologne or anything like that to work out and sweat into a cotton t-shirt. They then took these t-shirts, put them into Ziploc bags, labeled them with unidentifying labels, and allowed women to smell these t-shirts and rate them on whether or not they found the smell attractive or unattractive. The one consistent theme that they found in women was that women were more attracted to men that had a different set of immune system genes than their own. These genes are referred to as MHC genes. MHC genes are genes that are heavily involved in diversifying the immune system. The idea is that if a woman were to choose a mating partner that had a different set of MHC genes than her own, then she would be able to have children that had a very diverse immune system, able to recognize and fight off many different kinds of diseases, leading to healthier immune systems and healthier children in the long run. What was interesting is that these results were not repeated when they ran the same experiment on women that were on the birth control pill. This is a common theme we're going to see in this lecture, is that women on birth control pills are essentially have different behavior than women that do not. It's thought that these hormones do interfere and disrupt some of the chemical signaling that we would naturally see in romantic partners. Interestingly, in a follow-up study looking at women's MHC genes, the more varied her genes were, the better off at fighting off disease she was individually. And so the less picky she ended up being in choosing a mating partner herself. So this resulted then in the more sexual partners she had. It could be that she was less picky. Another alternative, of course, is that maybe she's more attractive to male partners, and that's why she had more sexual partners. We don't really know the reason, but what we did find is that a man's diversity of his MHC genes had no bearing on his reproductive success. So he still had the same number of reproductive partners, sexual partners, as another man that did not have diverse MHC genes. Again, kind of going back to our concept that women are the pickier, choosier sex, whereas men are less picky, less choosy in general. So we've talked about some of these studies indicating potential existence of pheromones, although as I mentioned, we haven't identified any pheromones yet. There's another study that involves the potential demonstration of pheromones. But again, there's lots of other explanations, alternative explanations that could be provided. And this is found in what's referred to as the stripper test. So some scientists went to exotic dance clubs and asked the strippers, if first off, only the ones that did not have birth control pills, to monitor their ovulation cycles and record how much money in tips they earned every night for 6 months to a year. And it was discovered that there was a correlation between receiving more tips when they were ovulating than when they were not. They, in fact, received fewer tips while they were on their periods, and then the most tips when they were ovulating. In fact, they earned twice as much money while they were ovulating than when they were not ovulating. Also, as a reminder, birth control pills seem to interfere with this. Strippers that were on birth control pills did not vary in the tips that they acquired every month. They earned the same amount of tips every day, day to day. The question scientists had then was, is this a result of women that were ovulating, producing pheromones, and clients in these clubs were responding to the pheromones by providing them with more tips? Or is it because the exotic dancer behavior actually changed to be more suggestive? Maybe they made more physical contact with their clients while they were ovulating. So these are two options. Of course, we do know that women that are ovulating tend to change their behavior a little bit. They buy more tighter fitting clothes in stores, whereas women that are on their periods tend to buy looser, baggier clothes. Additional tests indicate that there might be human pheromones in female tears. There was an interesting study that was done where saline solution that mimicked tears was put onto tissue, cotton swabs, and actual female tears were put on cotton swabs and provided to men to have them smell the cotton swabs. What they found was that when men were smelling female tears on cotton swabs, their testosterone levels actually reduced in their body. Whereas when men were just smelling saline solution, their testosterone levels remained the same. Again, a possible indication that there might be pheromones, though we haven't identified a single one yet. Voice pitch is also interesting. Men with lower overall voice pitch have, on average, more children. This could be because lower voice pitch is a result of thickening of the vocal cords, which is a consequence of having higher testosterone levels. A higher testosterone level would also be involved in encouraging the production of sperm. So an individual with lower overall voice pitch could end up having more sperm production and healthier sperm. However, it could be that women are just more attracted to men with lower overall voice pitch and have more children with them as a result. They've also found that women, in fact, change their voice pitch throughout the month. They have higher voice pitch while they're fertile and a lower voice pitch while they are not. This is detectable by men who found higher voice pitch in women more attractive, and also detectable by women who, interestingly, did not like the higher voice pitch female voices they heard. This was possibly, again, a result of women detecting potential rivals for mating partners. So it appears estrogen can control voice pitch and egg ovulation simultaneously. Facial features are also something that are widely studied by scientists. Women find men with facial features to be more trustworthy and more likely to commit to long-term relationships. Masculine faces with square jaws, small eyes, and a large nose are only attractive to a woman when she's ovulating. That's again because these faces, these more masculine faces with square jaw, small eyes, and a larger nose, are thought to indicate to women that there is a higher testosterone level and thus healthier sperm. However, when a woman stops ovulating, she immediately then becomes more attracted to men with the more feminized face. This also changes with income level, where they found that women in poorer countries prefer the more masculine faces than women in more well-off, richer countries, where women might be able to support themselves. The reason for this is that men who are more masculine, again, have more testosterone and are more likely to acquire resources that could support their offspring. Testosterone drives sexual urges, making them also more likely to cheat. And so if a woman is trying to find a long-term partner, she would be better off with an individual with a feminized face. So it would actually serve women to be pregnant by a high testosterone male and then commit to and be in a long-term relationship with a low testosterone feminized male. This tracks with data showing that 5 to 10% of dads are raising other men's kids. As far as what men find attractive, men find younger women more attractive. The reasoning for this is because younger women are more likely to be fertile than older women. These are lessons learned from speed dating, where in speed dating, you again are making an immediate decision based on somebody that you just met. And so again, all of these differences that we're talking about here are based exclusively on first impression only. The lessons learned from speed dating have shown one consistent theme, that men find physical attractiveness the most important quality, and women find material wealth the most important quality in a man. Women were tended to be pickier, choosing only 1/3 of the men they met to provide them with their phone number, whereas men were less picky and wanted to date half of the women that they met. Again, take-home messages are that testosterone promotes sex drive and aggression that could increase cheating, but also increase reproductive potency, whereas women tend to look for providers, while men look for traits good to have an offspring. And women are more picky, whereas men are more likely to compete for mates. So that's it for our lust section. In the next section of lecture, we're going to focus more on long-term relationships, the short and long-term relationships of 6 months, and then the long-term over 6 months.